Greetings, folks. Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another direct to YouTube video. This Legacy League is brought to you by Tobias B, who donated to see no bug Progenitus shenanigans. I believe he called this bug no Zenith. Now, Green Sun Zenith is in the deck. The no here is for natural order, NO, natural order. If you're interested in seeing one of your decks on the YouTube channel, donation information is always available in the video description, as is the deck list. Okay, so fundamentally, this deck is doing some things the same and some things differently as Snow. And if you look at a lot of the numbers of the cards that are here, that's going to be very clear quickly. So this isn't a 4 Astrolabe deck, because we're also playing mana dorks like Noble Hierarch and Gilded Goose to help accelerate out 3-drops and, most notably, Natural Order quickly. It's not like a 4 Ice Fang Coatl deck, because that's not necessarily your primary game plan. You're playing like some Fatal Push, some Ice Fang Coatl, and some things that are just bigger than what your opponent does. Like, you have the possibility of green sunning up Uro or Leovold and like very consistently having something that can be good against like opposing like blue decks and combo decks, or just being able to find your win condition relatively consistently. And if you somehow get up to very, 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 very large amounts of mana, it is theoretically possible, I suppose, to green sun for a Progenitus. Although that probably shouldn't happen in a healthy, normal game of Magic. The sideboard contains a lot of cards that I really like. Carpet of Flowers in particular is literally my favorite sideboard card in the Legacy format right now. I think it is incredibly powerful, and I would probably even still call it underplayed, despite how much play it is seeing. We have Ley Line of the Voids to fight against a whole bunch of other graveyard decks, as well as some slightly spicier things in the sideboard that don't normally see play, like Damping Sphere and Torpor Orb. Torpor Orb, I suppose, can be kind of neat. Like, you can use it with your own Uro, and you can shut off the ETB escape portion of that hashtag value or something. I don't know exactly how this deck is going to play out. I'm going to expect some similar play patterns to Snow, but I feel like we're going to have a little bit more velocity due to our mana dorks and maybe a slightly less good endgame. You know, we are putting things like Natural Order into the deck, which are going to be a little soft against opposing counterspells, but this gives us a combo finish, and that's something that control decks often want. All right, let's jump into a league and see how this plays. And if you're enjoying the content that I'm producing, please consider liking the channel and subscribing if you aren't already subscribed. We are very close to 3,000 subs now, and I'll do something ridiculous once we hit that threshold. But I don't know what yet. So my opening hand is exceptionally awkward against a Yorion deck, which is more than likely not a control deck. Where my Abrupt Decay is probably good, my Fatal Push is likely not. I don't know if I could keep this hand. I'm going to. Any land makes this hand pretty good. Not perfect, but pretty good. Plus, like, can we really throw back a hand that has one of our 2 natural orders for the memes? I don't think so. We're just playing against DNT. This hand is way better than if we're playing against a control deck. Although a Wasteland could still be a major pain in the butt here. Okay, that's not bad. We'll just play that out and not expose myself to a Wasteland here. Okay, so I will go and let my opponent fetch a piece of equipment. I'll likely get a Batter Skull, and then I'll just Fatal Push this. Still looking for the blue land that I need to really, like, take off and get going. But natural order for Progenitus should beat most things that Death and Taxes can do. Yep. Bye, Stoneforge. Not ideal, but you'll do some work. Now I don't necessarily have to blow Abrupt Decay on the first creature that I see. I have a Dryad Arbor, by the way. That's a really important question that I need to know the answer to. Yes. Sure is kind of awkward here because it's not really good enough to use a card on. But I might use a card on it. I'm likely to use a card on it if my opponent just grabs like Flicker Wisp here. Another Stoneforge Mystic. Okay, then I won't be targeting that. Alright, nice. Alright, is Gilded Goose important? Gilded Goose is a green creature, and then I can cast Natural Order next turn. Yeah, I think I qualify that as important. Technically not F6 here, but my opponent's playing pretty slowly. Like, I am going to end up very far ahead on time in this match based on like the rate at which they're taking actions. I don't know if they're new or nervous or what. But like they've cast 2 Stoneforge Mystics and a Recruiter as their only game actions, and it's taken about 4 minutes, so feel pretty confident that we're getting there. Your exact wording. Alright. I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, leave up a mana for this. Sacrifice the goose. Yet, lay Progenitus. Fatal Push. Blow up this Stoneforge Mystic. Notably, this has protection from everything, and everything includes the Caracas that's on my opponent's side of the battlefield. We now have 4 cards in graveyard, which means that if I get another blue, this Uro can also come back as well, supplementing the Progenitus-based plan. Yeah, didn't think my opponent was really gonna have outs to that. Alright, I don't imagine we're gonna board very many cards versus Death and Taxes. I'll want Toxic Deluge, and I probably want this. Good enough. It does do a lot of shenanigans. I don't know if it's really worth a card, but we'll bring it in because it can be funny if it is. Generally speaking, my cards are pretty good here. And my blue count's kind of low, isn't it? Especially if I end up going down on Leovold because it's kind of against Caracas. But force protecting Oko is sick. I sort by color. I'm not going to count Progenitus as something that's pitchable. So outside of the forces, there's another 13 cards that I can pitch. That's a little low. Alright, I'm going to trim one force. I'm going to trim one Leovold. I'm going to trim one Green Sun. How good are you? You seem like an expensive Abrupt Decay most of the time. Like, you can be better than that, but I don't know. It seems like sinking my mana into Uros and Okos is going to be better than this most of the time. I'm gonna go ahead and drop that and see how this feels. I might bring the Vraska back in on the play, and I also might bring the other Green Sun back in on the play. Damn it! There's one of you. There's one of you so that this exact thing doesn't happen. The hand might be a mulligan anyway, though. In all honesty. If my Noble Hierarch were to get Swords to Plowshare, I wouldn't have a functional hand, and the Icefang Coatl is not reasonably going to get Death Touch in the near future. Deluge also kills my Hierarch, which is one of my 2 mana sources. Whereas this hand is solid, I'll definitely keep this. I think Ooze is going back. The other cards are all valuable in different ways. Oh, my opponent has mulligan to 5. So they might be on like a Containment Priest or Bust sort of plan after they saw me just like Natural Order and kill them out of nowhere. We shall see. Alright, and they finally decided to keep on 5. Since I just drew a second Green Sun, I'm going to go ahead and ram out a Dryad Arbor this turn. Forest? I think Forest. Alright, so I don't think they have Swords to Plowshares or equivalent here because my Dryad Arbor didn't just immediately die. Sure. Yeah, so we're just going to take a turn 2 Oko against Death and Taxes. That's fine. So the only real question here is, like, do I actually elk the Spirit of the Labyrinth, or do I just make a food? I just want to Fatal Push that card, or trade for it in combat with a 1/1 Icefang Coatl, so I think I'm going to make a food. It's a little punishing if my opponent just goes, like, land into Skyclave Apparition. But otherwise, I'm pretty good. And if I have to give up a card to play Arkham's Astrolabe and then Fatal Push it, like, so be it. That's not the end of the world. So my opponent's line must not be, like, straightforward and simple, because if you have a Skyclave Apparition and you have the opportunity to cast that on an Oko, you just do. I don't think they have that. So that means they're thinking about what 2-drop they should play. Okay, they decided to attack my Oko with Spirit of Labyrinth. That's fine. Their hand might not be entirely functional after going down to 5. Ah, I see. Playing with what could be an older list. Revoker isn't super popular right now. Blackland would be sick. Okay. And green's on for X equals 3 here, which could get Leovold, but that's not good. Get a collector oof. I can hemorrhage a card to just make black mana here, and then get Ice Fang into play and kill Spirit of Labyrinth. I don't hate it. I don't love it. This Oko activation is really valuable. I'm going to say that that's worth a card in terms of value. Oh shit, in response to the trigger, I should have killed Spirit of the Labyrinth. Well, that's not what I want to kill. I want to kill this. But I had that option, and I didn't think of that until, half a second too late. Go ahead and beat with this. It is my intention to play Ice Fang Coatl on my opponent's turn, and then kill Spirit of the Labyrinth mid-combat. This is more than one card each turn, so I can get my card off of Ice Fang Coatl without it actually disrupting me at all. Yeah, I mean, that happens. Goodbye, Oko. You served me well. I can't Ice Fang Coatl into Force of Will, so that's what's happening. My Death Touch is on now. What time is it? Leovold time? It could just be Leovold time, like just taking that as a 3/3 that draws me a card in every cycle. I could also get an Uro. I'm not quite there yet in terms of cards in graveyard. I'm only going to have 3. Yeah, I don't hate just grabbing Leovold. This is kind of a weird spot where I am the beatdown. Maybe I'm just supposed to get Uro since that, like, also cantrips. Either way, I'm playing this for X equals 3. I'm getting either Uro or Leovold. I don't think Ooze is like crazy good in this spot or anything. I'm gonna go with Leovold. So I guess my opponent can bounce it on my turn, and then I don't get the card out of it. But if I'm effectively Rashad porting them, I think that's okay. Maybe I'm wrong and a 4/4 Ooze is just better than this. Oh man, Rashad port me. He's sick. Alright, that's not particularly good here. Playing this? Yeah, I guess I'll play this. I could be attacking with just the food to accomplish the same thing and not give my opponent the opportunity to trade away Spirit of the Labyrinth, but I don't think they're going to trade away Spirit of the Labyrinth in the face of this. They also really should have ported me after bouncing Leovold, but, you know, it is what it is. Alright, they have put Yorion into their hand. Ooh, a new Green Sun. That one will probably go and just get Scavenging Ooze. I don't know anything bigger than that, right? No, that'll just get Scavenging Ooze. Yes. Oh, it didn't work. Alright, so opponent is at 5. I can go ahead and cast Green Sun for X equals 2, and that's still what I want to do. Grab Scavenging Ooze. Go ahead and eat with that now, since my opponent is very unlikely to have anything that actually interacts with the graveyard. So my opponent's not dead on the next turn cycle by any means, but they have a land they can start doing like Yorion, Blanket, with Caracas, sorts of shenanigans. They don't really have anything in play worthy of blink value though, so we'll see what happens. What has happened is that my opponent thought for a while and then passed their turn. So this is all quite interesting. What does that mean? Containment Priest plus Swords to Plowshares or something like that. Is there a world where I just cast this Toxic Deluge for X equals 1 and then crash in? Restoration Angel could happen and be bad for me. Opponent didn't Rashadan Port, but they also didn't Rashadan Port another time that they were supposed to, so like this could just be an error. Could also Leovold pre-combat, but you know, make them have it. Make them do something. Sure, that's fine. I think I'm good with that. Do I want to brainstorm? Yeah, I think I'm good with a brainstorm. Like, my cards are good, but just converting brainstorm into a card that's not brainstorm is totally fine. Fatal Push. Do I want it, though? I think I'll leave it on top of my library. And I can make that decision a bit later. Opponent's turn cycle doesn't really make much sense to me as of right now. Okay, yeah, they were just super afraid. Sure, that's valid. Yes, I would like to draw a card. So I have 2 damage showing right now in the air. I also have a strange card draw engine. Alright, my opponent has found a Gideon. That's certainly not bad. Although that doesn't really stop them from dying in the air. Icefang Coatl. Sure. I'm just gonna take that 2 damage. I'm pretty likely to mop things up later with Toxic Deluge if, like, somehow my Icefang Coatl is just removed. Just going to be going for them directly since I have lethal in 2 attacks. Alright, no Caracas bounce this time around. Okay. So that resolves, and that's going to hit my Ice Fang Coatl, I assume. Alright, that is going to hit my Ice Fang Coatl, sure. Okay, so this is old templating. I believe that means if I kill this in response, my thing still gets exiled. Yes. That's fine. I think I'm going to have enough stuff here to likely present lethal next turn. We'll see. I don't know. Like, I guess this is legendary. That's not true. But a Toxic Deluge for X equals 2 is going to be pretty spicy. Sure, that's fine, because Gideon is indestructible. Alright, do I just want to Fatal Push this? Get a 2-2, which is awkward. But I guess that 2-2 can be attacking for 3. If I draw another removal spell, it's fine for me to do that. I guess I'm fine with that. Corrupt Decay this, Corrupt Decay this, attack for 2 different things that are lethal, with 2 different things that are lethal. Opponent's last card is Yorion, so this is a deterministic line that just kills them. Nope. GG. Yep. This opening hand is the sort of hand where if my Noble Hierarch doesn't get removed, this is fine. Otherwise, this is beyond a questionable keep. But if the Noble Hierarch allows me to brainstorm and find another land, everything is totally fine. If it doesn't, well, that's what games 2 and 3 are for. Also, just spiking a land so that I can play Leovold or Oko on turn 2 is very good. Oh, we're just playing against Oops and we didn't keep a force hand, so I die? Cool. Dear wizards. While Thassa's Oracle is not on the top of the list of cards that suck right now, it is on the list. Alright, let's just confirm that my opponent has the kill. There is the Dread Return. Thassa's Oracle is not currently in Graveyard, but Cabal Therapy is. How many Cabal Therapies? One? One Cabal Therapy. I think that means they don't get to look at my hand unless I've just like skimmed over and not seen another Cabal Therapy. And if they don't get to look at my hand, I don't really need to oh wait, hold on. Thassa's Oracle was there the whole time. Then that Cabal Therapy targets me and I should just concede. Oh yeah. What do we have in the sideboard for unfair shit? Okay, hold on. Let's resort by converted mana cost. We gotta do some things here. All right. So Leyline, good. Damping Sphere, good. Torpor Orb, surprisingly good. Oof, probably playable. Flusterstorm, probably playable. Veil of Summer, fine. Veil of Summer, stop Thassa's Oracle trigger. Yeah, I think Thassa's Oracle is one of those like each opponent things. Either way, it's still like playable maybe for discard. All right, what's not good? I assume a lot. Push doesn't really have targets. Corrupt Decay is not really a functional magic card. This is too slow. Yeah, a lot of these things are just bad. Like, I just want a pile of counter magic and disruption versus this deck, and I don't really have that. I don't know that I get to cut any more of this stuff. I'm probably over sideboarding. Alright, what's the exact text on Thassa's Oracle? I need to know. Oh, it's a win the game, so not a target. Shows you how much I play traditional blue decks that I don't know the answer to that. Okay, I kind of feel like everything that's here needs to be here. I guess Icefang Coatl, like, cantripping is nice and all, but I'd rather just, like, draw most of these things instead. Let's see how this does. Would like to play first. Would also like to open a ley line. Hell yeah. Deep with Progenitus in hand. My opponent's probably in a weird spot in terms of sideboarding, since I'm going to be like the Leyline and Force of Will deck, and they probably don't know that I'm going to be a Leyline deck. They also might not know I'm a Force of Will deck, right? Like, don't know that that's information that they would have picked up from Forest into Noble Hierarch as my only plays. Do I fluster it, or do I Force the Will? I think I want to fluster this, and if they blow a Dark Ritual, then I'll force it. But the Force of Will is just so much valuable since it can hit creatures later. Nice. Is this my moment? No, I guess I let them pay, right? Ooh. Oh god, I'm getting so much out of this. Bye, Progenitus. So my opponent and I kind of traded on resources there. Alright, you have a 2-3. That's fine. A Dryad Arbor? Look like a Dryad Arbor. So I guess getting a bird or a noble hierarch is just better. This should pick up a snowland, I guess. But black mana is more valuable to me than a snowland for the 2 astrolabes right now. Because the noble hierarch that I'm going to get right now does not produce black mana, and I don't want to get Gilded Goose. Actually, do I want to block? Blocking is 1, 2, 3, 4. Blocking is 5 cards in graveyard. And I have blue, blue, green. Do I have a second drop? Damn, I have 1 drop. Oh, hold on, but I have Bayou? Yeah, so I can block and get Uro into play next turn. Ooh, my opponent sees the line. Heads up play, opponent. Yep, alright, I'll just hold back. I will eventually find a cantrip and find something to let me pull ahead. That's also just very good. My opponent's probably going to have no manipulation and maybe 3-ish outs to this ley line remaining. Good. I don't think this is better than just holding up Force of Will right now. I'll be glad to play the Damping Sphere after I've cast this Force of Will, but until then, we're going to chill. Alright, guess this can get me that. And I'm at the correct number of snow permanents. That can grab me Bayou. Now we can go blue, blue, green, green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Play the overpowered recent printing. Do the thing. No, I won't put a land on the battlefield. I guess I should have left open a snow mana. I didn't think of this. I was more concerned about playing the Damping Sphere that was going to be in my hand. But I guess this is like just technically a like misplay. All right, and the opponent scoops it up there. All right. I'm just going to hit submit here and see how long it takes for my opponent to sideboard. And how long it takes them to sideboard will help give me an indication of how much their plan is changing. They're, at the very least, thinking things over and trying to figure it out. which means I should maybe expect a few more answers to Leyline this time around. We'll see, though. Alright, my opponent took about another 20 seconds to finish their thing, and then mulliganed. I'll be keeping my hand that has, like, Leyline into turn 2 Damping Sphere. I think that's fine. My opponent is relatively unlikely to be able to mulligan to a 5-card hand that can both answer a Leyline and go off in the same turn. So I'm likely to be able to get to this Damping Sphere, which may be good enough. We'll see. Was it good enough, YouTube? Was it good enough for maybe a like on this video? Huh? Huh? Felt like it was. Okay, I kept my opening hand, which is relatively respectable, and now the real question is, like, Astrolabe on 1 or Oko on 1. Or sorry, Astrolabe on 1 or Noble Hierarch on 1. We can Oko on 1, like, no fucking brainer, man. Cast that card. That card should be banned. Maybe it will be banned by the time this video goes live. Wouldn't that be cool? The Eternal Glory podcast episode this week is a rather targeted episode towards the banning of Oko and Dreadhorde Arcanist. And here's to hoping. It also features a pretty epic rap at the beginning. No, my Oko! I'm gonna be wastelanding my opponent here. Unless I draw, like, another Oko. In which case, like, I'll do it. Okay, well, if our opponent is, like, a Death Shadow Delver deck or something like that, we have the tools. But if our opponent is something like Ant, like, holy shit, I don't have functional cards. Ugh. Also, my life is surprisingly bad if this Noble Hierarch gets answered, since I did choose to use that Wasteland. But my opponent went Island into Brainstorm on their main phase, which really makes me think they're a combo deck, like Ant or Doomsday. I mean, 100% have to play this here. This card is so strong. But, again, I'm kind of afraid that I'm going to just die. Okay, so now we're looking like it's more likely to be something like Ant. My best draw might be something like a Brainstorm that lets me just, like, convert these 4 dead cards into live cards. Alright, that doesn't kill me. And I'm quite happy not being dead. Oh, well, that's fantastic. Alright, let's always yes to this. Let's always yield to this. Alright, you go back. We'll pay 4 life for you. Underground Sea seems fine. If I assume that all the cards in my hand are actually dead cards in this matchup, or basically dead, it's probably better to just get in my 4 points of damage this turn for things like Ad Nauseam and Doomsday. I can then hit for either 4 or 6 next turn, depending on what things look like. Alright. I got nothing. I have Stone Cold nothing over here. Alright. Smells like I'm dead. Alright, so there's a Dark Ritual. Ball Ritual, maybe. Ball Ritual. Alright, Dark Petition. I assume they are likely to crack the LED for red there. This will get Past in Flames. Storm count will be 6 at that point. Dark Ritual will make it 7. Oh, and then I'm just dead, actually. Because I am at 14 life from Sylvan Library. Okay, yeah, alright. I am deterministically dead. I'm gonna go ahead and concede here. Don't need to make my opponent click through it. Okay, so what do I have for Ant? Slash, what do I want to be getting rid of? I know I'm probably not going to want these Fatal Pushes and Abrupt Decays. Those are going to be the first thing to go. I'll probably play Ley Lines. Play Damping Sphere. I'll play Oof. I'll play maybe all of these. Can I get to 12 cards I don't like? It's pretty likely. I don't like any of that. I don't like the Vraska. Ice Fang Coatl is blue, but otherwise doesn't really do anything. Maybe I don't Carpet here. Okay, Carpet is a bit much. Then I only need one more cut. Really prefer it to be a green card over a blue card. Scavenging Ooze is pretty meh, but like technically has some uses. Is it a mana dork? Is it one win condition? Maybe I can go down one win condition and drop like Uro or Oko. I would like to play first. So this hand has a Brainstorm, but like it's not like the Brainstorm magically makes this one fantastic. I'm gonna go ahead and ship this one and try to find something a little more consistent. Ball JK. So this is go to 5 or keep a hand that can't play one of my mana dorks on turn 1 when this is a hand that really wants to play a mana dork on turn 1. Hey. Alright. I don't think the natural order actually wins me this game immediately. I'm gonna go ahead and pitch that and one land. Oop. There we go. Love to see it. Polluted Delta can represent Tropical Island, which is both Veil of Summer and Flusterstorm. I probably don't need both at the same time, but I don't really want to cast anything this turn. I want to Green Sun for Collector Oof next turn. Because while that doesn't, like, literally win the game, it slams a door shut pretty hard. Classic combo. Collector Oof and Arkham's Astrolabe. Practically brothers. Drop. There's a world where I want Bayou instead because, like, I theoretically have ley lines that I can draw and want to cast. My green mana is probably going to be more taxed. I also do want to work towards green-green for natural order. I guess this is green-green and black-black. Makes holding up Veil of Summer and Flusterstorm harder at the same time, which Trop does. Alright. Alright. Big oof. Notably, this does not stop, like, the Dark Ritual, Cabal Ritual-based hands, and I drop the shields in order to do this. But this is a pretty strong line. Now, if my opponent shuffles away 2 pieces of artifact mana and I lose for doing this, like, whatever. I don't expect them to have too many outs to this. Maybe 1 or 2. If I get to untap with, like, these things to protect my threat, this can potentially go all the way. Or at least enough of the way that, like, something else can mop up later. The second Brainstorm in a turn. My opponent might be close to going off. Maybe I'll die off for try and oof. Can you see what's in their hand, YouTube? Tried craning my neck, but I couldn't quite make anything out. So the nice thing about Collector Oof is that it makes a lot of Infernal Tutor lines much harder because you actually have to get Hellbent. Normally, like, Lion's Eye Diamond cracking for mana is something that you want to do, and it also has the hidden upside of giving you Hellbent for Infernal Tutor. When you shut that off, it's a little more difficult to go Hellbent. Shoot! Alright, so they've just made all their stuff uncounterable. Alright, F6. You got it, you got it. It seems like you've got it. There's 1 card left. Gotta cast it. It's like an Infernal Tutor or an Ad Nauseam. Infernal Tutor doesn't kill me, right? Infernal Tutor or Infernal Tutor for Tendrils means I'm alive. It needs to be Ad Nauseam. I guess I can Infernal Tutor for Ad Nauseam. And that leaves them with 2 floating mana. Yeah. Ad nauseum with 2 floating mana and this high of a storm count potentially kills me, but they can't Past in Flames. They're not going to have red mana because they can't use artifacts, and I believe they already made their land drop. If I'm wrong and they didn't make a land drop yet, I think this kills me. They Chain of Vapor the oof. And then they're going to get access to double LED and Infernal Tutor and I die. Alright, I guess I need to like try to scroll back this. Maybe they didn't play a land yet. Oh, they just activated one, but it seems like I'm wrong. Okay, what? So that was the Thoughtseize taking my Veil of Summer, and they discard Valk. Ponder. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm off somewhere, but I wasn't paying close enough attention to figure out where exactly. Veil of Summer means that my Flusterstorm doesn't really do anything next turn. So what would I want to spike off a draw? Damping Sphere. Damping Sphere is the big one that I can draw and have a large impact on the game. Brainstorm for that. I will brainstorm for that. Alright, so I'll put back a Leyline and an Astrolabe. Play Bayou. Crash in. Alright, so that's Chain of Vapor. This is Hexproof from blue and black. Great. Alright, do I Leyline? Things that kill me are already kind of in the graveyard, right? Well, enough things are already in the graveyard is probably a better way to put that. Alright, so I just shut off Polluted Delta. My opponent has 3 mana. I can go down to 2, up to 5, up to 8, down to 6, 4 rolls. 1, 2. I don't think this ley line does anything with this many cards already in the graveyard. And my opponent's mana might be pinched enough that they end up tapping that Trop at some point. I think it's better to Astrolabe here. No one say anything. No one say anything. Oh, that's awkward. God damn it. God damn. And I should have made this decision pre-combat too. I'm supposed to play this. It's just embarrassing. Ah. Well, it could have been dead. Good thing like 1,500 some odd people aren't gonna watch this and see that misplay. Okay, we win. Alright. Now what? Do I change anything? Carpet's worth considering. There are worlds where I do play a deluge. But I think playing the deluge is worse when you're not playing a pile of cantrips. I could just board out the 2 natural orders and Progenitus. And play like Carpet Carpet Uro. But like, but Progenitus though. This hand is strong. I'll be keeping this. It's a touch awkward that I'm boarding in 4 ley lines and I'm not keeping a ley line hand, just kind of naturally. Also interesting whether or not I'm supposed to play fuck you ley line. Well, whether or not I'm supposed to just hold up Flusterstorm on turn 1. I think I'm supposed to play Hierarch this turn so I can play Oof with Flusterstorm backup next turn, but that's not necessarily clear cut. And there are times where I lose for doing this. But my opponent is like keeping this hand without playing a cantrip on turn 1, which makes me think that their turn 2 is going to be Brainstorm. And they're saving that Brainstorm to polish off their hand and then fetch away the bad stuff and try to go off the following turn. Alright, I assume I lose Collector Oof here, not Flusterstorm. Flusterstorm's easier to fight with discard, and it also gets hit by Veil. Ooh. No blue card for that force. It also may mean that they have a ritual-based hand, not an artifact-based hand. 1 damage or play Gilded Goose. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 damage next turn unless Noble Hierarch dies in a massacre or something like that. So I don't think the Gilded Goose matters much. Get my 1 point of damage in. This is going to be the turn of the game that I'm most scared of dying. If I make it through this turn and can flop down a ley line, and I have like ley line plus maybe with force backup, I think I win from there. Alright. I mean, this is solid. It's not like Leyline is the best hate card in the world, but there's no rituals in the graveyard yet, which means this is slightly more valuable than normal. Again, though, Force of Will isn't perfectly safe. Like, it can get stripped by discard, it can get Veil of Summered, like, things can happen. I'm also not presenting a real clock yet. I don't know that I can risk a Brainstorm on my turn to kind of try to better my board position, because my blue count is light-ish. Ash. Hitting Leovold is kind of sick. Hitting another blue card means this is kind of a wash. Alright. I'll take a risk. I think I figured out what I'm gonna do. I think I have a plan. I don't really care about snow stuff at this point. I'm just gonna get more flexible lands. Here we go, two-turn clock. Or I could just get Leovold, which is also quite good. I think I'm gonna go with two-turn clock with 2 pieces of disruption. That seems fine. Good enough. Good enough, that Progenitus. Alright, Progenitus has found its way into the opening hand. Do I keep this 6-card hand that contains the Progenitus? I don't know that I do. Like, it's a fine hand, but like having this card in hand is super, super bad. I'm gonna go ahead and ship this. But pain is tangible. Astral Wave is not castable off of Tropical Island. Keep. This is going back, and then what else is going back? We just shipping the Leo? Or are we shipping a land? If I ship the Leo, I just go for turn 3 natural order. Hope it works. Otherwise, I can have turn 2 Leovold. Turn 2 Leovold probably too good to pass up. This or this? Actually, this? Okay, I don't want that. And I don't think I want this. I've gone to 5, so I am in trouble. Like, a removal spell, a counter spell, a piece of discard. Basically everything's good against us right now. Okay. That's fine. Oh shit, I don't have turn 2 Leovold. Oh shit, I don't have turn 2 Leovold because I capped forest instead of a fetch land. I'm a fucking idiot. God damn. Alright. Alright. You? Seems like you. We're gonna main phase Brainstorm and see if we find a mana dork, which will help us cast his natural order next turn. No. Alright, so we can go for Natural Order next turn, or Oko next turn. We're gonna have options. Yeah, I blew it by playing this land on turn 1. I'm so used to the heuristic of, like, play your basic first when you can, in the face of unknown opponents. So, like, do we YOLO? I don't know exactly what that's going to do, but I think I can say with confidence that I am not going to like it. Okay, let's go. I'm a coward. I want this to get Force of Negation. I don't want Natural Order to get Force of Negation. Cryptic Command? Oh, okay. So this is kind of something that I was thinking might be possible. My opponent is going for, like, a Mystic Sanctuary Cryptic Command lock, where they get, like, Cryptic Command every turn. And the trade routes allows them to, like, bounce the Mystic Sanctuary to keep putting cards on top of their deck. Alright, that's kind of cool. I can respect it. I do want... Oh, fuck. That means they can beat Progenitus, right? If there's more Cryptic Commands, because they can just, like, tap draw every turn and... Or, like, tap bounce every turn. Oh, there's the Mystic Sanctuary. Alright. I'm going, I'm scared. Fuck! Pitching a True Name Nemesis. Opponent's deck is hot. Alright, I actually don't know the other side of trade routes. What's the other side? Discard a land card to draw a card. Photo? Photo, please. Alright, Narset, and they picked up an Astrolabe. Green, blue, black. I have a bunch of Abrupt Decays, and I wouldn't mind drawing one. Narset, sort of annoyingly, is a card that can cantrip through Leovold. Intuition. That's definitely kind of cute. Uh, now I don't get my draw step card, and this card doesn't have power and toughness. I can Ice Fang Coatl on my opponent's turn, though. There's once per turn, right? Yeah. There are so many, like, very similar cards, like Spear of the Labyrinth, Notion Thief, Narset, Hull Breacher, that I just always check to make sure that I don't have them mixed up. I should technically consider casting Ice Fang Coatl there, but I don't want my opponent to plan around this card. Alright. Well, that's awkward, because I kind of have to, like, do this now. Not super good at actually pressuring Planeswalkers. I'm gonna do this out of laziness. My opponent probably just, like, bounces the Ice Fang Coatl. Oh, no. Thought they would want to keep that Narset alive. Alright, I'm very happy to take that card down, because it makes a lot of the things that I have in hand considerably worse. Alright, is Brainstorm happening now? I can hit an Abrupt Decay. That would be rather important. Abrupt Decay Library? Abrupt Decay Library is a pretty damn good turn. At some point, this trade routes is going to become very annoying, by the way. I don't think we're quite there yet. Like, I don't think I really need to worry about this yet. But the point where I don't need to worry about it and I need to worry about it is a very important point, because I probably lose the game if I misidentify when I need to worry about this card. Savine's Reclamation. Mystic Sanctuary. That's back Swords to Plowshares, meaning that I can't pressure the Narset. Not great. Both of the cards that are on top of my library cantrip as well. That's Swords to Plowshares on the Ice Fang Coatl. I think I've probably lost this game at this point. Like, I'm not presenting pressure. Yep. Yeah, my Mold of 5 plus my Leovold misplay plus, like, my Natural Order getting countered and my Oko getting countered is just kind of a recipe for me not losing, or sorry, not winning this one. I would like to see what my opponent's deck is actually going to do before I concede. Nope. So this draws me into that Brainstorm, which is not really live right now. I'll just do this and then F6. So they also get a fetch land out of the deal. Wonder how many different Mystic Sanctuaries they have. It's pretty central to their strategy. Ah! Ort's in here. Okay, so they just bounced an Astrolabe to get a redraw. It seems slightly weird. Oh wait, no, they have a Swords of Plowshares, don't they? Guess I could have considered Green Sun for X equals 3 pre-combat. Guess I do it now. It's a bit of a rough counterspell. Force of Negation, yeah. Alright. This is the portion where I probably start to get in trouble. My opponent can now, like, put a Swords of Plowshares or, like, counterspell on top of their library every turn. And I have no pressure in play. This Brainstorm is dead. They also have a Monarch card in hand, which is going to bury me. I can't attack for damage. Yeah, I think I'm just going to be dead here. Okay, yeah, so they return to the Mystic Sanctuary, they put Swords of Plowshares back on top. Now they can play their card that gives them the Monarch and have a Swords of Plowshares to protect it. Yeah, and I'm just going to get milled out in just a turn or two. So I'll take one draw step, and then I think I just need to call it. And that's a pretty good one, all things considered. Of course, it might not resolve. Actually, it just... No, there's a Source of Plowshares in hand already, right? So that just answers this, and I can take out, like, 2 other things in the graveyard. Yeah, this isn't actually good enough. Well, I guess I can take out 4 of the things in the graveyard, but then there's still, like, a Source of Plowshares that can be bounced every turn. There's still the Monarch. Oh, what if they mill me into Uro, though? That break serve? Maybe that breaks serve. Alright. Maybe I'm not dead yet. Alright, so I will... Yeah, actually, does it make sense? Get that out? Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I'm gonna eat most of the graveyard here. My foods aren't really doing me any good currently. Mm. Oh, maybe I'm supposed to take both Force of Wills here, leave the Swords of Plowshares. I don't know. This is weird. You have like 3 Time Walk effects in there of some kind. And like this deck just randomly takes infinite turns too. I won't even be mad if you do. This is wild. I wonder if this is going to be a fair or unfair intuition, actually. Because there's some worlds where they just get 3 different cards and they get one of them in hand and the other 2 go to the graveyard and they can return them via Mystic Sanctuary. They already showed me a Savine's Reclamation, which would have been one of the things that I would have been expecting from this sort of deck. Also, I have a Progenitus, right? Oh, yeah. What the what? Oh, shit. So Orum's Chant every turn means that I don't get to cast spells, right? Ah. Alright, that's pretty hot. Okay, I think we can concede at this point. I've got enough of an idea what's going on. I don't really know how to sideboard versus this. Like, I really just want to kill my opponent, and I'm a little dirtily in that regard. Okay. So, I think I'm going to start with what don't I like and board that way. I don't like Fatal Push. I don't like Gilded Goose since it doesn't attack for power. I don't really know that Ice Fang Coatl is actually all that impactful. I think the Progenitus is good most of the time. So, 5-ish cards. I could go Leyline Deep. Like, I probably want these. Are my opponent's Planeswalkers all that scary if they're not backed up by the Mystic Sanctuary, Savine's Reclamation sort of stuff? Definitely less scary. Arm's Chant, though. Alright, so my blue count is probably going to be low-ish. I don't really like Magic Online, please. Magic Online. Magic Online. Are you crashing on me? Going down? Alright, I'm gonna stop the recording here and try to figure out what's up with Magic Online. Okay, Magic Online crashed, and it appears that I do not get to sideboard, unfortunately. I don't know if that one was me or Magic Online. It could have been either, so I don't think I get to file for reimbursement for this one. My hand's kind of weak, but I don't know that I can really win this game without my sideboard cards, if I'm being honest. Like, the game one plan didn't feel good. I'm gonna keep this one. Hand's kind of awkward. I think playing out these proactive ones is more important than having the early Uro. Drop. It doesn't matter. I think either one of the green dual lands is appropriate there. My opponent and I are both going to be fighting from limited resources here. So hopefully I can just slam a Leovold or Oko and, like, that gets me to an okay place. I believe I'm slamming the Leovold first because it doesn't get countered by Force of Negation. Swamp? Swamp fine? Swamp's fine most of the time. I think I'm just gonna get, no, I'll get Swamp. Leovold can just get Swords to Plowshare, but, like, I'll get my 2 for 1. And getting that value in is important. Alright, I do really need a land, though, so that I can just, like, play my Oko on curve this turn. Thank you. That's really quite important. Three, three. I think we're battling. I think my opponent's deck has the better endgame than I do, so I want to end this game ASAP. I also just want like a 3/3 in play that can pressure their planeswalkers. Alright, so that exiles Oko, then I'll Abrupt Decay that. Abrupt Decaying that this turn in 100% of worlds? Probably. Also, just get another Leovold this turn, though. Which is kind of hot. Do really like that. Actually, I think I like that better. Line is considerably worse against something like a Supreme Verdict, but my opponent cast a Leovold, or sorry, my opponent removed my Leovold and then didn't have the opportunity to go and like cast their cantrips that might be stranded in hand. I don't know exactly how much value this Leovold is going to generate, but it's potentially quite a bit. There's like a billion different things I could play around here. I think since I have an Abrupt Decay, I'm just supposed to attack in and see if my opponent does anything. They did not. What's my sequence? Astrolabe? I think it's play Astrolabe first, because if I just naturally draw an Oko, I don't need to use the Abrupt Decay. Ice Fang? Ice Fang is pretty good. But I don't think I get to pass up on this. Next turn on my turn, I can just plus on a food and be presenting lethal attacks. So I think I'm just going to create a food token this turn in case my opponent has some sort of sweeper or something, and then I can still plus for lethal next turn. I technically have Brainstorm for a Force of Will available if things go really badly. Don't mind that. This I start to mind. I'll Brainstorm in response to see if I can find a counterspell for that. And I did. I think that's worth fighting over. Opponent agrees. So I can hit my opponent for half of their life total here. So we're probably not killing that Teferi. The question is, like, what's going on with this natural order that I have? That almost certainly resolves this turn. I'm gonna attack them. See if I come to regret that. Now what? I can play Goose into Natural Order. In Natural Order for a Leovold, and that cuts my opponent off of a lot of cantrip-based outs. I think I like that better than wastelanding them and, like, redrawing. The last card would have to be something like a Daze in order for this card to not resolve. Also shuffles away the other Natural Order that's on top of my library. Oh no, I can't get another Leovold. I've used them all. Fine, Progenitus. We have to settle for Progenitus. Dang it, YouTube. My opponent has to have something like a Supreme Verdict that can kill both of these. Alright. Okay, we got lucky. My opponent mulliganed to 5. Now I can, like, play reasonable Magic in a sideboard configuration. So what did I do before? I went in a little more of my opponent's deck now. I definitely want these Carpets and Veils. I think they're important, and the question is, like, ley lines now. Still think I like cutting the Gilded Goose since it doesn't have power. Didn't see the trade wins sort of stuff in that game. It's possible some of that stuff is boarded out for just more sensical Magic cards. Ley lines. These ley lines. I think I'm going to play without them. But it's possible they should be in the deck. Flex lands have costs, yo. I don't think I'm going to play around like a back to basics. I think I'm fine just playing out this Bayou this turn. There's a world where I should just snap off a Wasteland on my opponent. Like, I'll still have 3 lands left over. They might have kept a 1-lander in some worlds. I don't know. Like, playing the Leovold on turn 2 is just so attractive to me, though. Like, Wasteland cuts off cantrips sometime. Leovold requires an answer, or it cuts off cantrips for the rest of the game. Opponent seems to have a tricky brainstorm of some nature. Maybe they're brainstorm locking themselves. In which case, things look good for me. Alright. Goodbye, Noble Hierarch. Goodbye, turn 2 Leovold. Goodbye, Tundra. In approximately that order. I don't know how stuck on mana my opponent is going to be here. Or possibly Brainstorm locked there. We'll maybe get a better feel for that this turn. Although they get a couple cards deeper between their draw step and this spell, so they can find a fetch land. They did. Alright, so my opponent has fixed their mana. I lost a lot of tempo by losing that Noble Hierarch. I'm not going to fire that off on this when Planeswalker is likely coming down in the next turn cycle. You have to value what matters. And fighting. Alright, opponent does have outs to Progenitus. I mean, Terminus makes sense with Mystic Sanctuary. But opponent's deck is enough out there that I was not certain about really anything that was in their deck. Man, I wish I would have seen Terminus in an earlier game, and I would have boarded out Natural Orders. I don't really think they're good anymore. Especially not once a Terminus is in the graveyard. C, Island, probably C. Don't think I get to sandbag this for a turn. Try to play it with a Veil backup. Pyroblast? Wow. I mean, I guess they have to beat Oko somehow. What does this got? Oh, the Ooze is back in the deck. It could just be the Ooze. I don't think I get to hold up Veil here either. It's possible I could Brainstorm first. Like, Brainstorm, find a land, then cast the Green Sun with a shuffle effect. This thing sucks. God damn it. That's going away. And this Natural Order is going away for now. I don't really love my position here. It feels like I'm going to lose. Okay, sorry. Let's figure out what to do here. Opponent gets one of these cards. The Crucible of World getting back a lot of stuff is pretty annoying here. Teferi is pretty annoying. Narset is also pretty annoying. I think Narset is maybe the least spooky thing here, but it's not easy to tell. Like, the Crucible getting back Terminus and Swords of Plowshares and Pyroblast, like, whatever they need every turn, I don't like that. I guess it's not every turn, it's once. I'm gonna give them Crucible, because I can just Abrupt Decay it. Yeah, sorry. Opponent took a long time on intuition, so I paused the recording. And after that, Streamlabs was like, there's a problem with recording. And so I had to fix that real quick. So I have 2 mana to work with right now. Because I'm going to use 2 mana for Abrupt Decay. I don't know that it really makes sense playing any of my cards, other than maybe Icefang Coatl. Icefang Coatl to try to hit a land drop is kind of nice. And I don't really care if I lose that to a Terminus. Yeah, maybe it's just better to hold a fail. Good with that attack. Good with that attack. Abrupt Decay in my opponent's upkeep rather than on my turn. I don't think that matters, but yeah. That's a little annoying. Plus, it's going to come back and get, like, 2 Planeswalkers. I'm just cashing this in for a new card. Oh, Carpet is good. Alright. I can't kill this Ashiok this turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Next turn I have Green Sun for Progenitus, right? Like, that's just the thing that's allowed to happen. I guess it's not actually even good because, like, my opponent just has Flooded Strand for Terminus on hold. Five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I need 1 mana to have my 11th mana. Attacking with Noble Hierarch? No. Going to not attack with that, so I can just play Icefang Coatl in my second main phase, because Carpet only makes 1 color of mana. Blue? Blue for cantrips? Maybe green. I could just Green Sun for X equals 3 and get Leovold. That might be a little... Mystic Sanctuary Terminus. Yeah. Alright, we're gonna keep this dream of, like, getting the Progenitus off of Carpet of Flowers. We're gonna keep that dream alive. Savine's Reclamation here is so good. And I wish I didn't lose time 2 different times in this match to empty Geo issues, but they livey. I think I'm going to die before I time out. But if I do get to get a Progenitus off of Green Sun, that's cool as fuck, I'm just saying. Pyroblast. Hey. Alright, so I didn't get my 1 mana. Yes, I will use that. I'll make green. Oh. I want to do this for x equals 3. Fuck, Ashiok! No! Alright, concede in shame? I think I can concede in shame to 3 different planeswalkers here. Yeah, I had countered the that ability with Veil of Summer, so I just like wasn't even thinking about that planeswalker. But that just totally devastated me. Alright. Okay, I'm gonna keep this hand. It's a little bit underwhelming, but it has different ways to go places, so I guess I keep it. Good God over there, opponent. City of Traders. Lotus Petal, yes. Okay, so they're a blue, probably Emery sort of deck. Alright, Storm is 4. I counter that. It is a big ol' kick in the dick if my opponent just has an Echo of Eons as their last card. I can Abrupt Decay it on turn 2. I don't know. I think it's worth giving my opponent 1 card to save this Force of Will, for the worst case scenario. Yeah. This is fine. Playing Bayou is fine, playing Bayou is fine. So I have Force, probably pitching Brainstorm. My opponent now knows that I have Polluted Delta. My opponent can either have a seat or a bauble of some kind. I'm good with that. Again, it's like an Echo or Urza or Karn, something of that nature. Oh, a Lotus Petal. Alright. That I'm actually afraid of. Seems like they maybe have Hull Breacher. If, like, this is the line they wanted to take in this turn cycle. Was this Lotus Petal over getting another card? Would I rather get rid of a Hull Breacher or an Emery? Close. Wording. I'm gonna cast this card this turn. Alright, so I want to kill this now. I want Trop or Underground Sea, probably Trop. I think I'm going to go ahead and go Abrupt Decay this off of these 2 lands. Alright, Dryad Arbor. We're gonna go and bait out the Hull Breacher. You ready, bud? Get in there. Go find that Hull Breacher. Oh, no Hull Breacher. This time I can't answer that. I don't have a removal spell in hand. Echo is still terrifying. But, like, if I let this resolve and then my opponent mills into Echo, that's not a great position for me either. I think I'm gonna go ahead and, like, very begrudgingly force this. Right? I value the 1 damage off Dryad Arbor. I guess I value the 1 damage off Dryad Arbor. I will pick up a snow land here for the purposes of Astrolabe. Alright, I have just a couple of lands available. At this point, I'm, like, almost happy if my opponent echoes. Not quite happy, almost happy. I think I fetch if my opponent casts Echo. Alright. Nice. We're gonna play that over Uro this turn. Uro is actually both? Both? Uro, my card draw is prevented, but my extra land drop isn't. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Make all those colors work? That's what I'm not sure about yet. Don't know how good my mana actually is. Alright. This gives me the 3rd green. So I have green, green, blue, blue, and then some combination of the other things. So there's a basic swamp in here. I can get that off of Polluted Delta in a bit. Yeah, I think I'm good to do both. Green, green, blue, blue. Green, blue, 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 black. Or blue, green, black. Yeah, okay, I'm good. I don't get the extra card draw here, but that's fine. Alright. Blue, green, black. Alright, no one gets to do anything fun. Okay, what do I want versus this opponent? I want Leyline. I want oof quite badly. From there, things are a little bit trickier. Like, a lot of things are going to be situationally good, but not actually, like, great. I think that's kind of going to be how this goes. Like, Flusterstorm is great versus Echo, but dead against most of the other stuff. Carpet sometimes produces mana and sometimes doesn't. Yeah, all around, sideboarding here is kind of awkward. I think I'm bringing in those 5 cards, and I don't really know what to take out. Fatal Push is awkward in that, like, it's either dead or really important, and the same is kind of true of the Death Touch of Icefang Coatl. I think I'm going to go down on these. I go down on 1 win condition. Go down on 1 ramp card. And I don't know what else to do from there. Actually, maybe the ramp card is just better than Astrolabe. Can I go Astrolabes out? Not going to be under pressure from Wastelands. And I don't super have time to cast this. I'd prefer to be interacting with my opponents. So this is a reasonable turn 1 play that makes my Oko better. And I'm going to go those out since I'm bringing in the oofs. Keep. Keep. A little awkward. Like, we can list off the ways that this is awkward. Like, the Dryad Arbor is in hand when I have the early Green Sun. I don't have Leovold on turn 2 as of right now. Like, a lot of things to dislike about this hand. A bunch of my spells aren't castable, even if the Noble Hierarch does live. But if we can work towards, like, Green Sun for 2, that probably shuts my opponent out of this game. Fuck, yeah! Fuck, yeah! Alright, we'll get Underground Sea here. Opponent is pausing. They could have an answer to this. Alright, we got an Echo of Eons, which is not particularly good once the Leyline is in play. So that's technically a 2-for-1 in our favor, but it's really a 1-for-1. Alright, well, that's not bad. Green, blue, black for Leovold. Again, Leovold's power is dampened a little bit with this Leyline gone, but I still don't mind having it around. Okay, that's the last card that I did not want my opponent to have. Like, it's okay. But it's not. You don't have 5, you have 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't get to spin the wheels. I will take that damage. I need to lose a permanent to get rid of Urza. Can't really easily do that. Not in a way that I can super control. Urza is just so good as a card advantage engine. I can Abrupt Decay the Construct later. But I need Fatal Push with Revolt to kill this. I can just, like, spike a fetch land or something and take care of it that way. Do I just play my expensive Abrupt Decay now? Maybe I just play my expensive Abrupt Decay now. I kill the Hull Breacher, keep my cantrips live. There are some lines that involve blocking and like throwing away one of these cards in order to try to Fatal Push in this turn cycle, but I don't really know that those lines are actively good. They just open me up for blowouts. Yeah. DMC4 here is a bit rough. Alright, yeah, you can kill my Planeswalker, that's fine. See what the tail end of this turn looks like. Sacrifice LED. Does that actually win you the game? I'm not sure that that actually wins you the game. You get to attack with a 4/4 on Karn this turn cycle. I attack with a 4/4 on Karn. Urza chump blocks. My opponent has an 8/8 construct remaining. That should win the game. Yeah. I can hit Karn for 1. Put Karn +1s on the lattice here, and then my opponent has 2 very things. Yeah, okay. They figured it out. I am not going to beat that, unfortunately. GG. Uh, Hitting Karn off Urza was very bad. Fatal Push not being able to kill Urza versus something like Swords of Plowshares was such a huge deal. Like, that was a very telling moment where, like, this is the difference between this deck and a version of Snow. Like, version of Snow with, like, better mana and more generic answers that isn't trying to do something cute is just better. I mean, surprise, surprise. But, like, this was a game where if we had Swords to Plowshares and we got to remove Urza, like, we don't lose from the position we're in, I don't think. Alright. Now, do I want to change anything? Vraska showed itself to be a little bit slow this time, and, like, it's again awkward that it can't answer CMC4 things, but I think the fact that it answers, like, Emery and maybe weird things like Ensnaring Bridge or something like that is good enough. Maybe Scavenging Ooze is too slow. Black Roof kind of does the same thing. It's so hard to... I don't know how I'm supposed to sideboard here. I'm a little bit more at the mercy of my deck than a snow deck is, again, because I'm playing so few cantrips, so, like, I kind of have to deal with whatever I'm dealt. Our opponent has seen the ley lines now as well, so they might board out of some of their echo stuff. I'm going to ship this back as is, but I kind of think I should be bringing in my carpets. I would like to 4-1 after this strong start, but I think my opponent's deck is just better than my deck. We'll see. Like, I have a powerful Oko-based start. We'll see if that's going to be good enough versus the Hull Breacher deck. Like, I have a counter spell for whatever the spookiest thing my opponent does is, and an Oko. That's not good enough, it's not good enough. Alright, I don't think I needed yet another one of those, but cool. I don't know if I get to fetch a Snowland here. It would have to be Swamp to leave myself with all of my colors. And I don't know that that's actually reasonable. I'm just going to grab Underground Sea and get punished if I draw... Oh wait, no, the Astrolabes are in the board. JK, don't get punished. My opponent kept their 7-card hand, so, like, they must have something over there that's good. I don't know, like, how fast their hand is, though. I assume we're just going to see, like, a Soul Land this turn. Nope. Huh. While they don't have the mana available for Hull Breacher, I guess I should activate this or not activate this Brainstorm, cast this Brainstorm. Oh, Collector Roof is sick. Put back Oko and hide the Natural Order. Oh, we're just done? Yeah, we're just done, and I end up doing 4-1. Okay. So, that was one of the best decks in the format, right? And this deck is a worse version of Snow in many ways. Like, we have fewer Astrolabes, we have fewer Icefang Coatls, our flex slot removal isn't as strong as something like Source of Plowshares. The upside of doing this is that we get a mana dork that allows us to play these cards sooner, and we get a combo finish. Progenitus hopping into play was a, like, relevant thing in 1 or 2 games in this league. I don't know whether or not, like, this is actually better, though. The Green Sun Zenith package that I'm seeing here isn't necessarily as strong as the Green Sun package in, say, something like Maverick. Like, in a lot of Game 1 scenarios, after I've, like, found a Leovold, the Green Sun after that is kind of weak. And, like, tutoring up Uro and, like, effectively having 6 copies of Uro is kind of cool. But I don't know. Like, I kind of felt like I was missing a top-end Green Sun Zenith win condition. Like, Green Sun can fetch me Uro, but, like, that doesn't put a card into play that kills my opponent now. And killing the opponent right now is a big deal in Legacy. So I was missing some sort of, like, Titania caliber card that, like, was the top end of my Green Sun curve. Although, admittedly, we did almost use Carpet to get Progenitus off of Green Sun, which was kind of the dream this league. Um, so over like I 4-1 this league. Like this was fine, but I didn't feel like I was overwhelmingly powerful or anything like that. This deck just felt fine. Like Fatal Push and Vraska and Abrupt Decay all missing things that are CMC4 is kind of a big deal. Um, there aren't that many things that are CMC4, but like as we saw with Urza, when there is something, it is a huge deal to be able to answer it. The sideboard cards were fine. I felt like I had access to a good degree of things, although again, I think one other like green finisher somewhere in the 75 is probably a good idea. I do think Toxic Deluge is a little bit awkward when you have like a bunch of mana dorks and things like Icefang Coatl that are gonna sit on the board and stare at your opponent for a long time. But as we saw when, played against something like Death and Taxes, having access to Toxic Deluge is good. All right, folks, I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and help support my comment. If you're interested in seeing your own deck on YouTube, donation info is always in the description, as is the deck list. It's $20 to get your deck featured. Have a great rest of the day.